Most people believe success comes from one big opportunity. I don't. I believe success is built through hundreds of ordinary days that nobody notices. Days where you study, days where you fail, days where nothing exciting happens, but you still grow up. Today is one of those days. Welcome to working day 6 of my 365 working days challenge. By the end of this video, you will see everything I learned today, the progress I made across my 3 income streams, the problem I finally solved, the challenge I am still facing, and what I am going to build next. So, let's get started. Welcome back to Mission to Millions. This is working day 6 of my 365 working days challenge. And according to my roadmap, today was learning day 5. Every single day I follow the same system. No shortcuts, no random learning, no jumping from one skill to another. Instead, I follow a fixed routine divided into 5 phases with a specific time limit for each one. The reason is simple. I don't want to become someone who knows a little bit about everything. I want to become someone who can actually build something valuable. As you already know, my mission is divided into 3 income streams. The first is full stack web development. The second is building a tech focused YouTube channel. And the third is affiliate marketing. Every working day, I move a little further in all 3. Some lessons are simple, some are difficult, some projects work, and some remind me how much I still have to learn. Let's begin with the biggest part of today's journey, and that is full stack web development. Income stream 1, full stack web development. This income stream is divided into 5 different phases. Each phase builds a different skill that I will eventually combine into becoming a professional developer. Today I made progress in every one of those phases. Let's start with the front end. Phase 1 front end, and the course is HTML. Today's HTML session was all about strengthening my foundation. Instead of rushing into advanced topics, I restarted my HTML course from pro level because I want my basics to be solid before moving forward. The main topic today was HTML forms. I learned how forms collect information from users and how they become one of the most important parts of almost every website. From there, I learned about action attribute. At first, it looked like just another line of code. But then I realized it's actually responsible for deciding what happens after the user submits a form. Where does the data go? What happens after clicking the submit button? Those were the questions today's lesson answered. Next, I explored 2 essential form elements. First is input and second is label. They may look simple, but almost every login page, registration page, contact form, search box depends on these elements. After understanding the theory, I followed the tutorial and built a complete HTML form from scratch. Building it myself helped me understand the concepts much better than simply watching someone else code. Today's lesson was not about creating something amazing. It was about building a stronger foundation. Tomorrow I will continue by learning classes and ideas, which help me organize HTML much more efficiently before moving deeper into CSS. But once the front end session was complete, it was time to switch over to Python. Phase 2 Backend, and the course is Python. Today's Python lesson focused on understanding the language instead of simply memorizing syntax. The first topic was keywords. These are reserved words inside Python that already have predefined meanings. Because of that, they can't be used as variable names. It's a small concept, but understanding these rules helps prevent mistakes in later. Next, I learned something every Python programmer should know. Python is a case-sensitive language. Even changing a single uppercase letter to lowercase can completely change how the program behaves. After understanding those basics, I wrote a simple program that performed arithmetic operations on 2 numbers. It was not a complex project, but writing the code myself helped reinforce everything I had just learned. Then I explored punctuators, the symbols that organize Python's structure and syntax. Another interesting thing I learned today was that Python is an implicitly typed language. Unlike many other programming languages, you don't always need to declare the data type manually. Python figures it out automatically. That makes Python code feel much cleaner and easier for beginners. Today's backend session ended with clear direction for tomorrow. The next topic I will learn is expression execution, where Python evaluates and processes different expressions. But today's most exciting topic was not HTML. It was not Python either. It happened while working on my own project. Phase 3, Project Creation of Weather App. This is where everything I have been learning starts coming together. Instead of watching another tutorial, today I continued building my weather app. I resumed exactly where I had stopped during the previous session. The first thing I created was a function called check weather. This function became the heart of the application because every time someone searches for a city, this function retrieves the weather information. Next, I implemented await so the application could communicate with the weather API correctly. Inside that function, I added my API key and API URL. Once the connection was ready, I converted the response into JSON format and displayed all the returned data inside the console. Thankfully, everything worked perfectly. Seeing real weather data appear on the screen for the first time was a satisfying moment. But displaying data inside the console is not enough. Users need to see it inside the interface. So I connected the application to the web page using query selector. I selected 4 different elements responsible for displaying city name, temperature, humidity, and wind speed. After connecting those elements, the information finally started appearing on the screen. The next step was making the application interactive. I created 2 new variables, search box and search btn. Then I added an event listener so whenever someone enters the city name and clicks search button, the application automatically requests the latest weather information and displays it instantly. At that moment, my weather app became functional. It was successfully showing live weather information for every searched city. But like every real project, there was still one bug left. Although the weather information updates correctly, the weather icon does not changes according to the city's weather condition. Everything else works exactly as expected, only the icons still need to be fixed. That's the tomorrow challenge. And honestly, these small problems are exactly what makes the project-based learning so valuable. Phase 4, Web Design and Freelancing. Writing code is important, but great products are not built with code alone. They are also built with great design. That's why today's next lesson focused on web design. I started by creating a free Figma account. Then I explored the dashboard, profile settings, and learned how to create a new design document. Once I became familiar with the interface, I moved into understanding the fundamentals of UI design. One lesson stood out immediately. Simplicity is powerful. The simpler an interface is, the easier it becomes for users to understand and use it. I also learned that UI design is not only about making things look beautiful. It's about creating enjoyable user experiences. Today's lesson introduced me to several important principles. A good interface should be simple. It should remain consistent throughout the product. It should encourage interaction. Its visual design should support usability instead of distracting users. And modern interfaces can even include voice controlled and gesture based interactions. One example explained this idea perfectly. Google's homepage. Millions of people use it every day, yet it contains almost nothing except a search bar. No unnecessary buttons, no distractions, just one simple purpose. The simplicity is exactly what makes it so effective. Tomorrow, I will continue learning why UI design matters and how it influences the success of digital products. Phase 5, Extra Skills, Git and GitHub. Today's final full stack session focused on something every professional developer eventually uses, that is Git and GitHub. I created my GitHub account and spent some time exploring the dashboard to understand how everything is organized. Then I learned about repositories, a repository where an entire project's file, code, and history are stored. Along with repositories, I also learned about the readme.md file, which explains what a project does and provides important information for everyone visiting it. After that, I created my very first repository. Then I learned about commits. A commit represents a saved version of the project after making changes. I also understood the basic Git workflow, adding a number of commits. Although the process seems simple, it's one of the most important workflows every developer follows. Finally, I learned how to update the readme.md file to improve project documentation. Today's goal was not about mastering Git, it was becoming familiar with the workflow I will continue using throughout this entire challenge. Income stream true, tech focused YouTube channel. Building technical skills is only half of the journey. The other half is learning how to communicate those skills effectively. That's why my second income stream focused on building a YouTube channel. Today's learning was divided into two phases. The first focused on voiceover, phase 1, content creation skills, and the skill is voiceover. Today's lesson completely changed how I think about voiceover. Before today, I thought voiceover is simply meant reading a script. Now I understand it's actually about telling a story. The lesson explained 12 practical steps: preparing the script, practicing before recording, preparing a quiet recording room, setting up the microphone correctly, warming up the voice, speaking like a storyteller instead of reading, controlling speaking pace, adding emotion where needed, recording in smaller sections, editing the audio, adding background music, and finally listening to everything once before exporting. Each step may seem small individually, but together they create much more professional result. This is a skill I will continue improving with every future video. Phase 2, editing skill with CapCut. After learning voiceover, I switched to video editing. Today's goal was becoming familiar with CapCut. I explored the difference between the free version and CapCut Pro. I learned about features like automatic keyframing, auto captions, stabilization, AI effects, and other professional tools. Then I created a new project and practiced importing and exporting videos. I also learned the basic controls: play, pause, undo, redo. Then I practiced moving around the timeline, zooming in and out, trimming clips, changing aspect ratios, adding background music, rearranging clips. Today's editing session was not about making cinematic videos. It was about understanding the editing environment I will continue using every day. Tomorrow I will move deeper into one of the most important editing techniques, that is keyframing.